Imagine your liver as a dedicated security guard working the night shift at a busy nightclub. Every evening, it processes whatever enters your bloodstream, filtering toxins, breaking down chemicals, and maintaining order in your body's most exclusive venue. Now picture what happens when that same bouncer has to deal with an uninvited guest showing up every single night for 30 consecutive days. That guest is alcohol, and your liver is about to work the most exhausting month of its life. Most people think of beer as harmless. After all, it's just one drink, right? Maybe with dinner, perhaps while watching the game, or simply to unwind after a stressful day. But beneath that golden foam lies a molecular storm that transforms your liver in ways most drinkers never imagine. What starts as a simple evening ritual becomes a biochemical battlefield where your body's most hard-working organ fights a war it was never designed to win. The truth is, your liver doesn't distinguish between that celebratory champagne at a wedding and your nightly beer routine. To this remarkable organ, alcohol is alcohol, and 30 days of consistent exposure creates changes that science can measure, track, and unfortunately, predict. What we're about to explore isn't just about one beer becoming two, or two becoming three. It's about the silent transformation happening inside your body while you go about your daily life, completely unaware of the biological revolution taking place. Within the first few days of establishing this nightly beer habit, your liver begins adapting in ways that would astound you. This isn't dramatic movie-style damage we're talking about. Instead, it's the kind of gradual shift that happens so smoothly, so quietly, that you might actually feel fine throughout the entire month. That's precisely what makes this transformation so fascinating, and frankly, so concerning. Your liver weighs roughly 3 pounds and performs over 500 different functions every single day. It manufactures proteins, stores vitamins, produces bile for digestion, and regulates blood sugar levels. But when alcohol enters the picture, this multitasking marvel suddenly becomes a specialist, dropping nearly everything else to focus on one critical mission, neutralizing the ethanol coursing through your bloodstream. Here's where the science gets interesting. The moment that first sip of beer hits your stomach lining, alcohol molecules begin their rapid journey into your bloodstream. Unlike food, which requires complex digestion, alcohol bypasses most of these processes and heads straight to your liver via the portal vein. Within minutes, your liver cells are already mobilizing their defenses, producing enzymes specifically designed to break down this foreign invader. The primary enzyme responsible for this process is called alcohol dehydrogenase. Think of it as your liver's specialized demolition crew, taking apart alcohol molecules piece by piece. But here's the catch. Your liver can only produce so much of this enzyme at any given time. It's like having a factory with a fixed production capacity, no matter how much raw material you send its way. During those first few days of daily drinking, your liver works within its normal parameters. One beer contains roughly 14 grams of pure alcohol, and a healthy liver can typically process about one standard drink per hour. So far, so good. Your liver handles the workload, breaks down the alcohol, and converts it into acetaldehyde, then further into acetate, and finally into water and carbon dioxide that your body can easily eliminate. But by day 5, something remarkable starts happening. Your liver begins recognizing this daily pattern and responds by increasing production of those alcohol processing enzymes. This adaptation might sound beneficial, like your body is getting better at handling alcohol. In reality, it's your liver preparing for what it perceives as a sustained assault on your system. This enzyme upregulation comes with consequences. As your liver dedicates more resources to alcohol metabolism, it has less capacity for its other essential functions. Fat metabolism slows down because your liver is too busy processing alcohol to efficiently handle dietary fats. This is when the first whispers of fatty liver disease begin to emerge. Most people associate fatty liver with heavy drinking or alcoholism, But science reveals a different story. Even moderate daily consumption can trigger fat accumulation in liver cells. During that second week of your 30-day beer routine, microscopic fat droplets start collecting in your hepatocytes, the liver's primary working cells. This process, called hepatic steatosis, begins silently and progresses without obvious symptoms. The accumulation happens because alcohol metabolism prioritizes immediate detoxification over long-term cellular health. Your liver essentially puts all other metabolic processes on the back burner while it deals with the alcohol emergency. Fats that would normally be processed and either used for energy or safely stored elsewhere begin accumulating right where they don't belong, inside your liver tissue. By the middle of your 30-day experiment, around day 15, your liver has undergone significant metabolic reprogramming. Blood tests at this point would likely show elevated levels of liver enzymes, particularly alanine aminotransferase and aspartate aminotransferase. These enzymes leak out of liver cells when they're under stress, serving as biological alarm bells that something isn't quite right. What's particularly fascinating is how your liver attempts to protect itself during this process. It increases production of antioxidants to combat the oxidative stress caused by alcohol metabolism. Think of this as your liver deploying its own internal fire department to put out the flames of cellular damage. But even the most efficient fire department can become overwhelmed when fires keep starting faster than they can be extinguished. The oxidative stress created by daily alcohol processing doesn't just affect your liver cells directly. It triggers inflammation throughout the organ, activating immune cells called Kupffer cells that normally help protect your liver from infection. These cells release inflammatory compounds as part of their defensive response, but chronic activation turns them from protectors into potential sources of additional tissue damage. Around day 20, your liver's architecture begins showing subtle but measurable changes. Collagen, the structural protein that provides scaffolding for your organs, starts accumulating in areas where it doesn't belong. This early fibrosis represents your liver's attempt to wall off damaged areas and protect healthy tissue. It's a well-intentioned response that unfortunately can lead to scarring if the process continues unchecked. The remarkable thing about all these changes is how efficiently your liver continues performing its essential functions despite the mounting stress. Your blood sugar levels remain stable, your digestive system keeps working, and your body continues eliminating toxins. This resilience might create a false sense of security, leading many people to believe that their drinking habits are harmless because they feel perfectly fine. But feeling fine and being fine are two entirely different things when it comes to liver health. This organ possesses an almost supernatural ability to compensate for damage and maintain function even when significant portions of its tissue are compromised. By some estimates, you could lose up to 75% of your liver function and still not experience obvious symptoms. As we approach the final stretch of our 30-day journey, your liver has essentially rewired its entire metabolic machinery around alcohol processing. What started as an occasional visitor has become the primary focus of cellular activity, fundamentally altering how this vital organ operates on a molecular level. The question isn't whether these changes are happening. Science has definitively proven that they are. The real question is whether 30 days represents a temporary adaptation that can be easily reversed, or the beginning of a more permanent transformation that could have lasting consequences for your health. The transformation reaching its peak during these final days reveals the liver's most profound adaptation yet. By day 25, your hepatocytes have fundamentally altered their internal machinery. The mitochondria, those cellular powerhouses responsible for energy production, have shifted their focus almost entirely toward alcohol metabolism. This represents a complete metabolic revolution happening at the microscopic level. What makes this particularly striking is how your liver cells begin sacrificing their own long-term health for short-term survival. The constant production of alcohol processing enzymes requires enormous amounts of cellular energy and resources. Your liver starts cannibalizing its own protein stores to maintain this accelerated enzyme production, weakening the structural integrity of individual cells. During this phase, something called the microsomal ethanol oxidizing system kicks into overdrive. This backup alcohol processing pathway normally remains dormant, but activates when the primary system becomes overwhelmed. While this sounds like helpful reinforcement, this secondary system actually generates more toxic byproducts and consumes more cellular resources than the primary pathway. The activation of this backup system marks a critical turning point. Your liver has essentially declared a state of emergency, mobilizing every available resource to handle the daily alcohol influx. But emergency measures aren't designed for long-term operation, and the strain begins showing in measurable ways. Blood flow patterns within your liver start changing as well. The tiny blood vessels that deliver oxygen and nutrients to liver cells begin experiencing increased pressure and inflammation. Some of these microscopic vessels develop small areas of scarring, reducing the efficiency of nutrient delivery to the hardest working liver cells. By day 27, laboratory analysis would reveal something remarkable about your liver's protein synthesis. The organ continues producing essential blood proteins like albumin and clotting factors, but at reduced levels. Your liver is essentially running a triage operation, prioritizing immediate survival over optimal function. The bile production system, crucial for fat digestion, also shows signs of stress. Bile composition changes subtly as your liver diverts resources toward alcohol processing. This shift can affect how efficiently your body absorbs fat-soluble vitamins and processes dietary fats, creating ripple effects throughout your digestive system. Perhaps most concerning is what happens to your liver's remarkable regenerative capacity. Under normal circumstances, liver cells can divide and replace damaged tissue with stunning efficiency. But chronic alcohol exposure interferes with this renewal process. The cellular signals that normally trigger healthy regeneration become disrupted, and instead of producing fresh, healthy liver cells, the regeneration process sometimes creates cells that are already compromised. The immune system within your liver becomes increasingly hypervigilant during these final days. Specialized liver immune cells that normally patrol for genuine threats begin treating everyday metabolic processes as potential dangers. This heightened immune response creates additional inflammation and can trigger autoimmune-like reactions, where your liver's own defense system starts attacking healthy tissue. Temperature regulation within your liver also shifts during this period. The intense metabolic activity required for constant alcohol processing generates excess heat, and your liver begins operating at slightly elevated temperatures. This thermal stress adds another layer of cellular damage that accumulates day by day. What's particularly insidious about this entire 30-day process is how your liver continues sending signals that everything is normal. The organ possesses such incredible reserve capacity that even with significant metabolic disruption, blood tests might show only modest changes. Many of the most important transformations happening at the cellular level simply don't register on standard medical screening. The communication network between your liver and other organs also begins breaking down subtly. Your liver normally sends and receives chemical messages that help coordinate metabolism throughout your entire body. But the stress of daily alcohol processing disrupts these communications, creating minor but measurable effects on blood sugar regulation, hormone balance, and even brain function. As we reach day 30, your liver has undergone what scientists call phenotypic plasticity, a fundamental change in how genes are expressed and cellular functions are prioritized. The organ that began this journey as a generalist, expertly juggling hundreds of different metabolic tasks, has been forced to become a specialist focused primarily on alcohol detoxification. This specialization comes at an enormous cost. The liver cells that have survived this month-long metabolic marathon are fundamentally different from the cells that started the journey. They're more efficient at processing alcohol, but less capable of performing their other essential functions. Some cells have accumulated enough damage that they're essentially living on borrowed time. The scarring process that began around day 20 has continued progressing, creating small islands of fibrous tissue scattered throughout your liver. While not yet at the level of cirrhosis, these microscopic scars represent permanent changes that will never fully reverse, even if alcohol consumption stops completely. Your liver's blood supply has also been permanently altered. Some of the smallest blood vessels have been damaged beyond repair, creating areas of reduced oxygen and nutrient delivery that will persist long after the 30-day experiment ends. These vascular changes represent one of the most lasting consequences of this month-long alcohol exposure. The metabolic flexibility that once allowed your liver to seamlessly switch between processing different nutrients has been significantly compromised. Your liver has become metabolically rigid, optimized for alcohol processing, but less adaptable to the varying demands of normal nutrition and metabolism. But perhaps the most profound change isn't visible under any microscope or detectable by any blood test. Your liver has essentially learned to expect daily alcohol, and this expectation has been encoded into the cellular memory of the organ itself. Even if drinking stops after 30 days, your liver retains this molecular memory, making it more susceptible to rapid damage if alcohol consumption ever resumes. The final day of this 30-day journey represents not an ending, but a crossroads. Your liver stands at a critical juncture where the accumulated damage could either begin healing through abstinence and healthy living, or progress toward more serious conditions if the daily alcohol routine continues. The choice of which path to take will determine whether this month represents a temporary experiment or the beginning of irreversible liver disease. So there you have it, 30 days that reveal just how quickly your liver transforms under the pressure of daily alcohol exposure. What began as that innocent security guard working occasional overtime has become an overworked, overwhelmed organ operating in permanent crisis mode. The changes we've explored aren't theoretical possibilities. They're measurable realities happening inside countless people right now who believe their nightly beer is harmless. The science doesn't lie. Fatty infiltration, enzyme elevation, early fibrosis, compromised immune function, and metabolic reprogramming, all documented consequences of what many consider moderate drinking. Your liver's incredible resilience might mask these changes, but that silence shouldn't be mistaken for safety. By the time symptoms appear, significant damage has already accumulated. Here's the remarkable part, though. Your liver possesses an almost magical ability to heal when given the chance. Those fat droplets can disappear, inflammation can subside, and cellular function can improve dramatically with sustained abstinence. But the window for complete recovery narrows with each passing day of continued exposure. The choice is yours, and it's more significant than you might realize. That nightly beer might feel like a small pleasure, but for your liver, it represents the difference between thriving and merely surviving. Understanding the science empowers you to make informed decisions about your health, your future, and the remarkable organ that works tirelessly to keep you alive. Your liver has been keeping score for 30 days. Now it's time to decide what happens next.